Ladies and gentlemen, now for a little bit of fun on the 6.4 beta, I decided to fully max out Elsa Bloodstone. So this is a rank 5 Sig 200 just on the beta server. This champion is not on my live account, and the only place I could play Elsa Bloodstone on the 6.4 beta was 6.4. However, we got some really cool matchups today that kind of show that Elsa Bloodstone, you know, she's a pretty good champion, but she definitely has her weaknesses in comparison to top options, but she is very fun to play in the right matchup, man. Now, first up, we've actually got a really good matchup here. This is Elsa Bloodstone versus the Invisible Woman, and Elsa Bloodstone has this ability: if she's suffering from a non-damaging debuff, every like couple of seconds she's going to purify it and turn it into a crit buff. So we instantly got rid of the vulnerability, which cancels Invisible Woman's invisibility there. So Elsa Bloodstone, she's a pretty good counter. I would say like Nick Fury is probably still the best Invisible Woman counter out there, just because, you know, it's like second phase, one special one, and then you just completely ignore invisibility. There is a bit of delay with removing it with Elsa Bloodstone, but also you convert it into a massive crit buff as well, which is very nice. But overall, a super stacked up like 250k plus Invisible Woman, down in just over a minute there. So a really decent matchup, and kind of shows you what stacked Elsa Bloodstone can do in terms of damage. Again, she is not really up there with the best of the best overall, but she does hit quite hard, man. She is quite fun to play, but I think in terms of her utility, kind of the more I've played around with this champion, the more flaws I find in certain matchups and scenarios. There's a lot of stuff Elsa Bloodstone's very reliant on. She's very reliant on aggressive gameplay. She's very reliant on debuffs as well, and also when it comes to countering evade champions with her cold snap, which we're going to showcase, it's not really like the best evade counter out there. So I like Elsa Bloodstone, man. I think she's a really cool addition to the game, and I'm so grateful that I had this opportunity here in the 6.4 beta to kind of really experience her at a high level. It's just always interesting to see these champions that nobody ever really ranks up, kind of what the potential can be if you decide to invest a lot in them. But also, it's one of those things, man, where there are just so many insane champions in the game at the moment. You kind of need a champion doing something very specific, like almost perfectly, for it to be an option that you want to invest like all that tier 5 basic in. This is also a Sig 200 Elsa Bloodstone as well, and when it comes to her damage output, she really does benefit from a high signature level. So, you know, there's certainly a lot of investment if you want to see kind of this performance out of an Elsa Bloodstone, but also this gameplay today, just as a heads up as well, does not feature any boost. So we do have access to like full boost on the beta server, but I just wanted to see, you know, how she did at rank 5 Sig 200 without the assistance of any boost. Now, the whole Ragnarok matchup is just absolutely perfect here. It's a science champion, it's a large XL champion, so this means anytime we use an attack that triggers a round of gunfire, it deals like a burst of additional damage as well, which is really nice. So you can see we deal like a 7k medium, man. The mediums are really nice when we're kind of firing off that additional round as well. Firing off the special 2 here, you can see when we're crit, we hit really hard. And this Hulk Ragnarok, man, almost down in 55 hits. We just going for a parry there, get our finishing combo, and that man is absolutely ruined. So, you know, she's pretty good at fighting Hulk Ragnarok. Definitely a matchup where there's a lot of advantages for Elsa Bloodstone. But also, one cool thing I really wanted to highlight, which is something that made me think about Elsa Bloodstone in a bit of a different way, because one of the things that we're seeing a lot this year is unblockable, especially in new content. We've got like Variant 4, for example. There's that Deadpool boss that just goes fully unblockable. However, Elsa has this really weird like parry thing where you go to parry, and every, I think it's 9 seconds, you can evade and then immediately counter with your gun and then just charge in and do your standard combo off that. So essentially it means as long as you've got that off cooldown, you can parry an unblockable champion to get your opening there. So I think that's like a really cool use for Elsa Bloodstone in the future. If we do see like any fights that just have a ridiculous amount of unblockable, as long as you can intercept in and kind of like weave in some baiting out special ones as well, you'd see in this Angela matchup, as long as she has regeneration, she's unblockable. But because of our ability to like parry and evade and counter it, it just doesn't even feel like there's unblockable to contend with in this matchup. So you can see here we go for a combo, we get the parry there, just straight into the evade, and then we go for another 5 combo special one, and she's absolutely in the bin. So I think that's a really cool use for Elsa, and hopefully we're going to see, you know, a bit more of that in the future. Maybe there are going to be scenarios where that is super worthwhile. Now, next up, we have Spider-Man and also Spider-Gwen on Oscillate. There's also a Limber node as well, so these fights are quite tricky. Like, they've both got around, 250,000 hit points, so they're no light work as well. But basically, in these matchups, providing that the opponent has evaded once, your Incinerate is going to be replaced with a Cold Snap debuff. And while the opponent suffers from Cold Snap, they can't evade. So Elsa Bloodstone, she is a fairly decent evade counter. She's not quite up there with the likes of champions like Corvus Glaive, Nick Fury, Domino and Spam Heavy, and champions like Killmonger as well, and Emma Frost. But she can work not quite nicely, but occasionally that Frostbite is going to fall off. However, to get it back up again, you can do a shortened combo of just double medium. So, it kind of works out. Like, you need to play slightly differently and make sure you're keeping Frostbite applied to your opponent. But as long as you can do that, man, like, I'm pretty good at shutting down evade champions. Before this matchup, I was actually quite cynical that she'd actually be able to handle a Spider-Man on Oscillate and Limber, but she's doing well, man, with 59 hits in so far. He's got 30% health remaining. We go for another 5 combo straight into a special 2 there. Massive damage on some of the crits because he is a science champion. Then going for a medium combo. Look at that, man. We got a 9,099 crit there. That's a really awesome little finish to that one, man. Super happy with that. Then next up, we got the Spider-Gwen matchup, and I feel like this one, it started off quite good, and then got a little bit sloppy in the middle, and I think it ended quite good as well. So here we go for a double medium to get the cold snap up, so that was a really efficient changeover there, but I feel like I felt the Limber node a little bit more in this matchup. So another medium to refresh the cold snap. You can see we got a really nice 7k crit. It's that additional burst of damage, like being a science opponent, that's really kind of jacking up Elsa's damage in this matchup. But this is the annoying thing. With nodes like Oscillate and also defensive AIs, it's difficult to keep stuff like Cold Snap up some of the time. But still, she actually can apply it, much more consistently than Iceman can. And Iceman, he gets around a lot of the most annoying evade champions in the game. But to be fair, you don't really see like much Iceman in endgame content, just because, Cold Snap is just annoying to keep up for the most part. Only when your like sole source of it is mainly spam that special one. There is a period of downtime, certainly when you are playing him. Cheeky medium straight into special 2, but she got the evade on the first hit and blocked the rest of it, so that sucked, man. That was really annoying. Just need to get a double medium combo, apply the cold snap, and we are back in business, boys. So this matchup, it just feels like so much more of a struggle than the previous one. I think we just had kind of like bad Oscillate timing. We're getting like a nice evade parry there, so we get another opening. Somehow managed to get another in there. Then we just apply a 5 combo, get the cold snap refresh there, fire off our special 2, get rid of all of our rounds, and also refresh one more cold snap as well. Managed to bait out heavy there, go straight in for the combo. She blocks so quickly there, man. Of course, wasn't quite quick enough. But 68 hits. This fight is not going quite as well as Spider-Man, because really to capitalize on Elsa's damage, you do need to play very aggressively. So if you're having a bit of an awkward one like this, it just can be a little bit tricky, boys. And now we got fresh cold snap up. We get an opportunity to go in straight into a 5 combo, special 2, and that lasts us down. So 91 hits there, a little bit slower overall, but it does show that Elsa can get the job done. Finally, to end today's gameplay, we've got a very iconic matchup here, the battle of the Vampire Hunters, Elsa Bloodstone versus Blade, and I still don't think there's much doubt in the community's mind as to which one is the slightly more desired champion to pull. Blade is still, an absolute beast for so many villain and mystic matchups, even in the current state of the game, but this matchup is a little bit annoying for Elsa Bloodstone, and kind of, goes to show one of her weaknesses, which is she's very reliant on debuffs for damage output. And in a matchup like Blade, he has debuff resistance, the more his power goes up, so those debuffs are going off very, very quickly. So yeah, this isn't like an ideal matchup for Elsa Bloodstone, but I wanted to show a matchup like this, man, because most of the matchups today have been pretty favorable for Elsa Bloodstone, but just to remind you, she does have a ton of weaknesses when it comes to debuff immunity. This champion has absolutely no immunities or anything to deal with like your standard damaging debuffs, which is really annoying, man. If her like passive ability to shrug off non-damaging debuffs also applied to damaging ones as well, Elsa Bloodstone would be like double the champion she is, but the fact that she doesn't have that ability, man, just makes her really, really annoying. I think if you are suffering from like a non-damaging debuff, you also have a chance to shrug off the damaging one as well, but if it shrugs off the non-damaging one first, then yeah, you're a little bit screwed, man. mate. You're going to get absolutely bent. But also, this is on a long-distance relationship node, which is the one where you're next to the opponent, you get weakness, like every 3 seconds or so. So it's really good because Elsa Bloodstone is constantly shrugging this off and converting it into crit. So yeah, man, Elsa, she's definitely a very quirky champion. I'm very curious to see if there's going to be any cool uses for this character in the future. I think she's a few now, but as time goes on, who can tell? But ladies and gentlemen, hopefully you enjoyed today's video. Please do smash that like button if you did. Take care, and I hope that you have an absolutely fantastic day.